some lessons there. So I took 3 lessons, 3 classes at Fairhope, the Faulkner State, and I took 2 seminars all on creative writing, and 3 of those were with Sonny Brewer. And Ron was there, and some of the others was in that class. So this sort of came from a homework assignment. Sonny had said he wanted us to write 3 topics that we were going to write about, and boil them down to 1 or 2 sentences. He said if you find yourself, he was making the example, if you find yourself in an elevator and you got an agent next to you, you've got a producer, director, somebody you want to influence about the story, you need to be able to get it down to that. So we had to do 3 of them. The first one kind of went, that I wrote, kind of went back to my work career. I said, I wanted something catchy, and I said, well, I could write about smuggling heroin out of Uruguay Air Base in Thailand to Los Angeles. That ought to be a little catchy, maybe. The second one that I wrote probably wasn't very good because I've forgotten what it was. Now, the third one was I was trying to mull it over in my mind, what would that be? And I got to thinking about the days in Kentucky, the culture that was there. We had a lot of good people, some bad, and all of them I thought very interesting. I loved the country, loved it there, but we did have some problems. And I was thinking, I need more to write about than just that. I need something to focus on. I need an event or a person or something that I can focus on for that. And I was thinking, and came from the back of my mind, lost in deep memory. And so I went to Sonny Brewer's class and I read that he wanted us to start the sentence with, I'm going to write a story about. So I said, I'm going to write a story about a high school girl in Appalachian, southeastern Kentucky, who caught syphilis and gave it to 19 men in town. So that was catchy, I thought. Yeah. So kind of riding on a little bit of a high there, but then I thought, I've got to flesh this thing out. Some way or another, that can't be it. I've got to do a lot more than that. So I started thinking about it, and I thought, who all was affected by this disaster that was about to happen there? And a lot of characters came to mind. And I wrote a short story about it, and the beginning of the novel. So we published it as a short story in our Fairhope anthology first. We moved the setting to here. I moved it back into Kentucky for the novel. And in writing that short story, though, I got to know some of the characters that I had written. Now, trying to go from the objective to the subjective on the writing, I thought about the name of the author of the book about history. He was saying that the Red Badge of Courage, which was about the Civil War, and he was saying he was disappointed in the history that he was reading at the time because it was too objective. 4th Infantry Division, blah blah blah, and he said he wanted to know what the weather was. He wanted to know what the screens were like. He wanted to know what how the flowers smelled, how the powder, the burnt powder smelled. He wanted to get in and do that coloring and get it out of that objective and get it into something that's more readable. So I wanted to do that. It's up to you to decide whether I accomplish that and not the reader. But I got to thinking about that situation, and I was thinking who all was affected by it. And of course the young lady was. That's obvious. So were the parents. And if you read the first short story, you know that the high school principal had to leave town over this. So you know the school was affected by that. also had the mayor. What did he do? How about the medical people, the Kentucky Department of Health? Would they be involved in this and trying to keep it from reaching epidemic proportions? So I got to think about all the people that could be involved, and I had a whole host of them, a whole bunch of people that would be involved in that. So I had characters already that I liked, I was interested in, and was rather to take them further down the road. Now I had a challenge. How could I keep my focus on the central theme with all of these characters that would be weaving in and out of this? Some of them on a one-time basis, some of them twice, and some of them central figures in the story. So that is why I selected it. I got into this. Now maybe I'd like to comment a little bit about how I wrote this story. And I'm a writer that I believe I do pre-writing and then the writing and then rewriting. Mostly rewriting. First, you have to get something on the page before you can rewrite it. So, normally what I do, and in writing this story, I would think about the scenes. I did not write it in chapters. You will notice in the book that I've named scenes instead of chapters. I wanted to go back to that, like the Red Badge of Courage author was talking about. I wanted to have a set of place for each scene, a time for each scene, a description of each scene, and get the individuals in there, smells and that sort of thing. I wanted them into those scenes. So I mull it around. I think about it when I'm driving. I think about it when I'm going to the grocery store. I think about what I'm going to write. And then finally when I get it, well, I'm hurrying to the computer to try to get it down. Because there is an awful lot of value in that first thought creativity. You need that down. If you lose that, you may lose the genesis of what's coming. And I have lost things by forgetting it by the time I got home. So you need to do that. I don't want to lose that. But I do rewrite as I go. I rewrite the next day, and I rewrite it in the book. But the danger in that is to get too busy rewriting and lose that creativity, that moment of creativity that comes into being. So that's sort of how I write it, and there is an author out there who, well, I can't remember the names of the authors. I remember their quotes pretty much, but not who said it. And you know, as I get from the group, especially my friend Ron Darrow, it's the building of tension. And you know, one author described that as putting your character up in a tree and then throwing rocks at him. There's been a lot of that building of the tension and getting it up there. But there also has to be some smooth times, some times that it's not just got you totally up here. So I wrote the book. It took me 3.5 years to write it, to get a manuscript, and then it took me 6 months to get it into book form that was acceptable for me to have printed and for you guys, the readers. So it is a long journey. It's been a lot of fun writing this thing, and I was able to incorporate a lot of little memories that came back from that part of the country. As I said, the good people, the bad people there, but it was all interesting. And I just had a ball writing this thing. The name, I always tell folks, the name Scandal indicates that there's ugliness and cursing in you. But I hope that you enjoy reading this book. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you've got any.